And hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 11 of the Druids Dozen. My name's John. I'm also known as the Rock Druid, and I'm a bit of a DJ. Do a couple of radio shows, the BCFM Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio 93.2 FM in the Bristol, UK area. And on the astroradio.earth, I am the Rock Druid, show of the same name, where I play music, rock and metal and related malarkey. And yeah, episode 11 of the dozen, where I'm going to wave some albums in front of the camera and chat about them for a bit. And also this week's t-shirt is the Solar Sphere 2015 festival shirt. Wearing this one because I should have been at Solar Sphere this year, but you know, certain lurgies have closed all festivals down, so it's not happening this weekend, unfortunately. Should have been enjoying the festival and playing there with Alien Stashed in, but that's not going to happen. We've been rebooked for next year, and next week the Solar Sphere is going to be online with a special kind of astronomy lectures and some music shows and that via Astro Radio. I'll put the links down in the description below so you can join in the fun. But anyway, some albums to wave at the camera and chat about. Let's dive straight in with this one. Going to start a bit punk today. Having a bit of a classic. There's the front. It is, of course, Inflammable product by Inflammable material, sorry, by Stiff Little Fingers. And there's the back. Pull this out. Lyrics. More lyrics and album credits. Now, I do like a bit of punk. Well, you know, I was 13 in '76 when the punk explosion happened, the UK punk explosion. Grew up with it, and you know, although I never became a full-blown punk myself, I've always liked the music, and I had plenty of mates that had sort of like Mohicans and safety pins and all that kind of malarkey. And the love of the music stayed with me, especially when I got into the new wave of British heavy metal, which is effectively rock blended with punk. So, but anyway, out of all the punk bands, the one that I keep coming back to, and will probably be classed as my favourite of this lot, Stiff Little Fingers. There's something about this bunch of lads from Belfast that's, I don't know, it's engaging. I just like the guy's attitude. You know, and the more you read about what these guys went through growing up, you know, kind of managing to piss off both Republican and loyalist paramilitary forces, and you know, and sticking two fingers up at the man. It's not as like, you know, bunch of punks from sort of like leafy suburbia in South London throwing two fingers up at the man. There, the worst you could get would probably be an appearance in magistrate's court. These guys were risking getting shot on and kneecaps blown off. So, more respect for what they did. And, you know, and this is their debut album from 1978. Oh, I need to put my bins on, don't I? If I can find my bins. Where did I put my glasses? Oh, I can't find my glasses. Oh, there they are. I felt like the hare that lost his spectacles. Bit of a Jethro Tull reference. Anyway, this is their debut album, 1979, and what an album! This is one of the UK punk classics. It's kind of, a lot of the tracks on here obviously speak about growing up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Suspect Device, State of Emergency, Wasted Life, Barbed Wire Love, Law and Order, Alternative Ulster. You know, it just cracks. It's in your face, it's fast, it's sneery, punk, nihilistic attitude. You've also got a cover of Johnny Was, which one was that? Bob Marley number? So he says, having a look at the writing credits. They give you the lyrics to it, so I presume it was, yeah, Bob Marley number, and you know, which gives it that, you know, because you know, punk and ska always have been two very closely interrelated kind of genres. Controversial tracks on here include White Noise, which I suppose these days you couldn't really get away with, but you know, when they're sort, you know, repeated uses of the N-word and other racial slurs, but then at the end it turns round to talk about kind of become an anti-racist track. So yeah, probably not done in the way you could get away with today, but you know, salute them for doing it. Anyway, just one great album. Yeah, I also got this on CD. Well, actually the CD version's in the Missus's collection, but just a cracking album, and you know, one of the best punk albums of all time in my opinion. Stiff Little Fingers, Inflammable Material. Okay, we're going to keep it a bit punky, and we're going to go over to CD, and we're having this lot. This is Condemned by the Hotel Ambush. So there's the front. There is the back. There's the disc. Behind the disc bit, and if I pull this out, booklet, artwork and lyrics. No band pictures or anything like that. Anyway, Hotel Ambush, they're partly from, I think, now if I'm wrong I apologise, because like I said, I try and do all these completely from memory rather than with only minimal pre-research, because I'm trying to keep the brain noggin turning over. I think this lot were between Bristol and South Wales. I think a couple of them from Bristol, a couple of them from the South Wales area. 5-piece kind of hardcore band, maybe a bit of metalcore. It's in that kind of, you know, core type vein, you know, where the metal ends and the punk begins. I don't know, but just a really good little 7-track album. It's loud, it's fast, it's in your face. Tracks like Turning Tides, Echoes from Within, Cutting the Ties, Run from the Dead. They bludgeon, they thrash, they speed metal, they headbang. It's all really good stuff. You got the vocals of Lee Newbold, who's a excellent vocalist, and praise to the lead guitar work of Rhys Anderson as well on this. He can shred and whittle, keeps it melodic as well, which is quite tough to do when the rest of the band's thrashing the Guns N' Roses behind you. But anyway, I don't know whether these guys are still going. I came across these guys 2006, I want to say 2000, maybe about 2008, 2009. It hasn't got a release date on the sleeve. But anyway, and I followed them for a bit, but then kind of lost contact. So whether they're still going or I don't know. But I don't know if this album's still available, but if it is, check it out. It's pretty good. Yeah, Condemned, Hotel Ambush, good stuff. Okay, reaches to the vinyl. We're going to have a bit of more God rock. We had some last week with Bloodgood. We're now having what is probably my favourite Christian rock album of all time. This is Res and Innocent Blood. Now, this lot, one of the early Christian rock bands. These guys came out of Chicago, sort of like early 1970s. And they were formed by a group of lads and lasses called the Jesus People. They were kind of liberal, not aligned to any mainstream churches, believed in the ethics of Christian charity and doing good for people. And that's what they got their own church in Chicago, which I believe is still going. The band's not, although there's the Glenn Kaiser band, which was the guitarist's own project. His wife was the vocalist. And I think various other members of them are still playing with various other god rock bands. And yeah, they just released a string of albums. Now the earlier stuff's a bit Zeppelin-y. And then they kind of, yeah, they were a band that kind of tended to blow with the musical wind. They did an album that was a bit new wave. There's some that are a little bit more rocky than others. Excuse me, frog in my throat. And then in 1989 they came out with this. Now I'll read you some of the blurb on the back. It says, the small girl staring through the dirty glass door is remembered by us as a friendly yet shy sort of child. Trish lived next door and loved to come over and help serve dinner to our other neighbours. One day she was laughing and playing with the other children in our front yard. The next day she disappeared. Only later did we find she had been the victim of a child pornography ring. Her kidnappers were never caught. Her family moved away in despair and she's never been found. Trish was a victim of forces not understood by a child's mind, fodder for someone's perversion, money and someone else's pocket. She was innocent blood. And I can understand, you know, it's a disgusting thing to happen. And the anger comes out on this album. It's palpable. The first side especially. He starts up with a track called Rooster Crow, which is almost like a little bluesy kind of 2-minute intro number. Then it cuts into a cut called Altar of Pain, and it goes on, This House on Fire, 80,000 Underground, Fiend or Foul, and every track just, it almost like Faith No More in places. It's that intense and that heavy. It's just mind-shredding stuff. Like I said, it's an album that you can feel the justifiable anger coming through, and it makes you angry to listen to it. It's just a great record. The second side kind of maybe eases off the gas a bit. You got tracks like Where Roses Grow, Right on Time and Child of the Blues, which is a little bit more kind of mainstream, not quite so heavy, as if they've kind of vented and are now kind of and breathe. And then you've got the hidden gem on this album, which is a cover of The Who's Bargain. I meant to tell you when I meant to show you. Yeah, there's the back. I don't think there's any inserts or cards or anything in here. No. Yeah, the cover of The Bargain, the Who track, and they do such a good job of it. You know, it's stunning arrangement and stunning performance. And you know, one of the things I respect about these is they're a band that kind of don't preach that much in your face, but despite being god rockers, yeah, their Christianity's in there and it's there for kind of finding if you just want to find it. But there's a couple of tracks like Great God in Heaven, which are a little bluesy kind of percussion-y thing at the end. But overall, you know, the message is there, but it's not kind of thou shalt go to hell. It's almost kind of like, hey, listen to this. What do you think of this? Kind of interpretation. So another reason I respect Res. So they used to be called the Resurrection Band, then became the Res Band, then became Res. I think they went back to Resurrection Band a bit after that, but all their stuff's worth checking out. This is my favourite album by them, but you know, God, and that's quite hard to find. But yeah, if it's worth persevering for, whether you're saved or secular, this is a good album to listen to. Overall, full stop. Yeah, Innocent Blood, Resurrection Band, or Res, sorry. Okay, next up, another CD. There we go. There's the front. There's the back. No, nothing inside, it's just a basic sleeve thing. Yeah, this is Tree of Ideas by Plastic Barricades. This band are from Estonia, although they've been working out of London for a good few years now. I think they're still going, although I've not heard anything from them from a couple of years back. But this lot, they're kind of an indie alternative rock band. Yeah, you got a guy that plays guitar and keys and does vocals. You got a bass guitarist and a drummer, just a three-piece, and they're just very, very good. I'm trying to think of something to describe them by, to liken them to. I don't know, Black Bikini Alpha maybe, bands like that. But there again, a lot of you are probably going, who the hell are Black Bikini Alpha? Exactly, they're part of that kind of very underground, sort of like indie rock scene that unless you're aware of, you're not going to hear, because they're never going to break into the mainstream, and it's only nutters like me and a few floppy-haired students that really take any notice of them. But it's a shame, because these are a good band. I've interviewed them a couple of times, seen them live a couple of times, and very, very entertaining. Tracks, they got a couple of other EPs out as well. Tracks on this one: Climb a Skyscraper, Planets, Airborne, 9 Lives, Giant Leap Back. All well worthy tracks. Dan Kirk, the vocalist, has got a distinctive voice that can't be mistaken for anyone else. Rhythm sections tight as a duck's buttocks. Just really good. As I said, this album was recorded in Estonia. Their latest has come out of the UK, and I think they've had a slight lineup change as well more recently. But yeah, their online presence is still up: Facebook, Bandcamp, etc. So go get their back catalogue, and hopefully when we're out of lockdown, if they're still going, go see them live. They're very impressive. Yeah, or Tree of Ideas, Plastic Barricades. Okay, he says, reaching for another piece of vinyl. Gonna have this. Fly Me Courageous by Drivin and Cryin. There's that one. There's the back. Inner sleeve. Love the artwork on that one. And yeah, just the lyrics. Now, Drivin and Cryin are a bit of a hard band to classify. They came out late 80s, early 90s. This is their third album, I believe, from 1990. It's sadly the only one I've got, but I'll keep meaning to track down some of the others. But anyway, I think this is their third album from 1990. And they were kind of lumped in with a lot of the, especially over in Europe at least, lumped in with a lot of the hair metal bands. Which is a bit unfair, because although they may have dabbled in the old hair metal hairspray image at times, they didn't do it that well, that much. And musically, these guys are about as far from Poison as Napalm Death were, although in the opposite direction. These guys, they almost got a kind of southern rock, almost like Blackfoot in places maybe. Good old rock and roll, but on the other hand, they got kind of indie aspect to them, you know, 10,000 Maniacs maybe, that kind of vibe. Interesting blend, and very, very intelligent band songwriting wise, and immaculately played. You got tracks on here like Around the Block Again, Fly Me Courageous, Let's Go Dancing, Build a Fire, which is fantastic drum led bump. Let's build a fire, laugh a laugh, sing the song. Sort of anthelmic air puncher. Every track on here is kind of a cracking song, cracking track. The performance is mind blowing. You know, you got let's have a look. You got Kev Keenly on guitar and lead vocals, Tim Nielsen on bass and mandolin, second guitarist went Buren the Fowler, and Jess Sylvan on drums. It just rocks. Great album. I think these guys may still be together. I'm not sure. If not, guys, time to reform, because we miss you. And yeah, like I said, this is the only album I've got, but I'm really glad it's this one, because this is a cracking album. It's got some cool tracks on it. So yeah, Drivin and Cryin, Fly Me Courageous. Okay, reaches for a CD, and we're going to go a bit goth doom metal now. Yeah, this is Under Sultry Moon and Velvet Skies by Edenfall. There's that. There's the back. There's the fold out, just as plain black disc on this one. Has a booklet, great artwork on this, by the way, if you have it on there. Sort of very dark and very goth. Oh, there are pictures of these dressed up in. Oh, there's the band there on the back. And pictures of them doing their own thing. Yeah. Now, this lot, I believe this lot were from Cheltenham, up in Gloucestershire, and I said they're kind of doomy gothic metal. The other week I talked about Aluna. They're in the same kind of vein. And funny enough, it was the same festival where I first encountered Aluna. I first encountered Edenfall. But I said, till Death Doom Us Part a few years ago, the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM was the official broadcaster, and basically I got to wander around the festival interviewing the bands and just checking them out and that kind of thing. Well, Edenfall were one of the bands on the second stage on the Saturday. They really impressed me, and yeah, got chatting to them, etc. Did an interview, got the album, and yeah, been a bit of a fan ever since. Now, I don't know what else these guys have recorded, if anything, because these guys dropped off my radar soon afterwards, and yeah, I'm being pretty lazy that I didn't follow up. Actually, their postal address says Kidderminster, Worcestershire, but so where did I get Cheltenham from? I don't know, but anyway, this is a great album. You got tracks like Ryan Maiden's song, The Wyvern Child, Escaping, The Wandering Moon, She Brings the Winter, my favourite track by these guys, absolutely storming. Dark Wings and Dark Words, Made of Mist is another cracking song. It's very dark, it's very kind of atmospheric, it's slow in places, but not to the extreme St. Vitus level of doom. But you know, these guys compare favourably with bands like Aluna and those kind of other kind of goth, doom goth bands. Yeah, not much else to say. I think this should still be available if you dig for it, so do so. Under Sultry Moons and Velvet Skies by Edenfall. Good stuff. Okay, we'll have another CD. I'm going to go punk again. There we are, there's the front. There's the back with the band themselves. This is, of course, Damn Fall Music by Zatopeks. And the booklet is mainly lyrics with some little photographs of the band doing Zatopeksy type stuff. And I don't mean middle distance running, or your javelin thrower. Might have even been a pole vaulter, I don't know. Anyway, named after the Czechoslovakian legendary athlete, who I believe someone told me was a relation to some of the band. This lot, now, I want to say this lot were London, although my missus disagrees. My missus says they were a Birmingham band, but I suspect they might have been based between the two cities. There might be members in both. It's like a kind of alternative punk band. They're not kind of punk as in, or as in your face as Stiff Little Fingers overall, although they do get there from time to time. It's not, they're kind of alternative punk maybe. Very kind, I'm trying to think of something that will kind of compare them to. I can't off the top of my head. No, my brain's having a fade today. It's very hot here. But anyway, just very, very good alternative punk sort of stuff. Yeah, maybe not quite as mainstream as bands like the Libertines, maybe bands like the Scuzzes maybe, or the Subways, if you're into that kind of thing. This is roughly where they're coming from. And screw me, what an album this is. I said I hadn't heard of these until I started seeing me missus, and she introduced me to them, and been a fan ever since. They've got 3 albums. This one, there's Whatever Happened to the Zatopeks, and then there's about a 10-year gap between that and their 3rd album, which came out only fairly recently. And these guys still together, still going. Far, far more famous in Germany and parts of Europe than they are in the UK, and apparently that's where they're spending most of their time these days. But overall, it's cracking. I mean, this album, picked this one because this is probably my favourite of their albums, and there's 3 tracks on here that kind of sum up the Zatopeks. You got the second track, 15 to Life. Let's spend a year for let's have a drink for every year we'll be together. 2 for every year we'll be apart, which is about marriage breakup and divorce and what's happening to the kids and all that kind of thing. Then you got the Daily Mail, which is a diss track about a certain English so-called newspaper. Just get some of the lyrics out of this. If the band don't mind me quoting some of the lyrics, which I'll give them full credit for because they're great. Where are we? There we are, the daily shit, the daily hate, the daily make yourself feel great, the daily not in my backyard, the daily lies from corporate lapdogs, the daily fool, the daily racist, the daily fear of foreign faces, the daily homophobe and sexist. But readers guess what Posh and Bex did. Yeah, very, very insightful track about a piece of trash media. And then the other track here is Song for Nina Simone, which is a slow soul blues ballad, and it's all about praising Nina Simone, and you know what a great musician and songwriter and singer she was. So yeah, shows these guys have got a great deal of depth. Yeah, overall it's not really a duff track on this album. And come to think of it, I haven't heard a duff track by the Zatopeks full stop. So yeah, well worth getting. Zatopeks, Downfall Music, but any of their 3 albums, or they've got a couple of EPs as well. Any of their stuff's worthy, but this is my personal favourite. Okay, next up we'll have another CD. No, you won't. We'll have a bit of... Where are we? Yeah, we're having a bit of vinyl next. Sorry, lost track of what order these are coming in. Bit of prog rock, bit of solo guitar heroism. This is Steve Hackett and Spectral Mornings. What an album this is. There's the front. There's the back with a nice clear picture of Steve singing and playing guitar. And no inner sleeve or gubbins on this. Steve Hackett, former Genesis guitarist, really nice guy. I met the guy and interviewed him, and really, really nice bloke. Likes his trains, you know. We were, after we finished the interview, we ended up talking about steam trains for a fair bit, which is yeah, always good for me, because those of you that have gone into this channel in depth will know there's a few railway videos on it. But anyway, we're not talking railways, we're talking about Steve Hackett. Now, I think this is his 3rd solo album, I may be wrong. I'm not all that 100% familiar with his solo catalogue, but he's got that many albums out. I've got a fair few of them, but can't remember the order they came in. But this is probably one of my favourites. But definitely my favourite of his earlier stuff. I mean, okay, is it Voyage of the Acolytes? Pretty good. Trespass, which is okay. Trespass or so. Anyway, they're all pretty good. But this one, something special. Primarily because you got a couple of tracks on here which absolutely send shivers down my spine. I mean, the obvious one to start with is on the first side, which is Clocks, about fourth track on. Probably is one of his best known instrumental tracks. Huge, great big chime in and tick-tocking sounds using multi-layer guitars, and his brother John on hitting bass pedals, and who else you got on here? Peter Hicks, Nick Magnus, John Shearer on drums, just building up this one, dum 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 dum, overlaying this kind of tick-tocking clock sound to make it this fantastic musical soundscape. Then you got the opening cut, Every Day, which is nice. It's a nice kind of heavy rocker, but with a superb guitar solo on it. And then it's the final track, Spectral Mornings, which is fantastic guitar workout. Again, Steve Hackett is best. But then you dip a bit deeper. You got tracks like Tiger Moth, which is about dead RAF pilots kind of being shot down, or RFC I think they would have been, First World War, being shot down, going to the great airfield in the sky. Just superb. You know, there's not a weak track on this, to be honest with you. Ballad of the Decomposing Man, featuring the Office Party. It's very northern, it's very ear by gum, it's very funny, but very, very good and insightful. Yeah. Well played, well well produced, well written. Just a great album that, you know, if you want to explore Steve Hackett's solo work, I would recommend this as the place to start. Spectral Mornings, Steve Hackett. Okay, next up we're going to have local music from local people. Well, ish. This is Kill You Again by Ulysses. Yeah, these guys are out of Bath. These play retro rock. There's the front. There's the back. Open him up. No, it's only a basic inlay card. There's the inner sleeve with the band themselves. I'll say 4-piece retro rockers, slightly psychedelic, slightly glam, slightly definitely very much 1970s, and very, very good. Seen these guys live a couple of times. Been on the same festival bill as them a couple of times as well, and they're just very entertaining. If you're into bands like Stray and, you know, maybe Snafu, Widowmaker, to a lesser extent bands like Roxy Music, 10cc, etc., these guys will be right up your alley. Cuts on here, Mrs. Journal, Love You Again, Domino Ace, April Showers, French or Japanese, Lesson 1, Taxi Driver, Oh Yeah, It just rocks. Luke Smith, who's the vocalist, cracking singer, also plays guitar. I can't remember who else does what on here, but just, it's pretty good. As far as I'm aware, they're still together. They've got a couple of albums out. This is their debut album. They've got a couple out after this, and yeah, check them out. So yeah, Kill You Again, Ulysses. And when did this one come out? He says, trying to remember. 2012 or 2013. So yeah, it's an older one. They've got a couple after this. Check them out, they're great. Okay, next up, we're going to go vinyl and Proto Doom. One Foot in Hell by Cirith Ungol. Yeah, complete with a lovely Michael Whelan artwork. Also, the same covers used on a Michael Moorcock Elric book. Trying to think which one it is. It's the one where he goes to the Nadder Score and has to rescue Tanalorn from the army of beggars. And it's got the kit. It's got the King of Filth on there. And if I pull this out, inner sleeve. Yeah, there's the inner sleeve there. Pictures of the band. Now, these have been Cirith Ungol have been a band I've been into since the early 80s. Never really kind of that popular in the UK. Well, never really that popular in the States. So these guys define the term cult underground metal. I came across these when I picked up. Now, was it this album or was it one of the others? Because they had about 4 albums out in the 80s. I picked up one of their albums in about 1984, 85. It wouldn't have been this one because this is 86. But I picked up one of their albums in a bargain rack in my local record store and took it home and absolutely loved it. Been a huge fan since. And I'm over the moon now. They've reformed and got a new studio album out, Forever Black. Came out earlier this year. It's tail end of last. One of the two, but they're still on form. They're still knocking out great music. Like I said, they're kind of proto doom. They're not exactly that deep, dark, sludgy doom that kind of became popular, you know, sort of throughout the 90s and into today. But you know, these guys have definitely got a bit of the kind of early bands, like early doom bands like Witchfinder General and that about them. Heavily influenced by the writers of Michael Moorcock. Take their name from Tolkien. You can tell by the artwork, you can tell by the lyrics. These guys definitely kind of, you know, you can imagine these guys on the tour bus with Larry Niven novels hanging out their pockets, etc. Yeah, Jerry Fogel on guitar, Tim Baker on vocals, Robert Gravin on drums, and a guy called Flint on vocals, on guitar. Yeah, tracks on here: Nadder Score, When Chaos Descends, 100 Mile an Hour, which isn't that fast actually, but still a great crap. 1 Foot in Hell, The Fight. It's all about forging demons and waving black swords and yeah. If you haven't read any Michael Moorcock, you may be going, what the hell is he on about? But read some Michael Moorcock and lyrics to Cirith Ungol. That's what I used to do back in the 80s. Cirith Ungol album on the hi-fi, Michael Moorcock book in my hand, I'll be in 7th heaven. Yeah, these guys have recently reissued, so they've reformed fairly recently, got a new studio album out, reissued some old live archive stuff, and reissuing their back catalogue of studio albums as well. So they should be available. So you've got no excuse not to check them out. But do so. Like I said, if you like your doom and your proto doom and your kind of classic kind of underground metal, Cirith Ungol are a great band to check out. And the 1 Foot in Hell album, as good a place as any to start. Okay, we're going to finish up with a couple of what I'd term sort of like classic bands. One's an album's an all-time classic, the other one's I can take and leave, but hey, we're going to start off with one that's the all-time classic. Here we are. This is a reissue, repackaged, remastered. This is Merciful Fate and Melissa. Their first full-length album, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the other albums, but anyway, I think they had an EP out before this, or a couple of singles, or a couple of 12 inches. But anyway, there's the front cover. there's the back, old King Diamond there doing his thing. Hold this up. This has got this version's got the album and it's got a DVD as well, which is I'm not going to go into the DVD too much apart from mention what's on it, but that's well worth looking at. And in the booklet here, there's the band. Got some really good cool notes on here where the various members of the band, besides giving the lyrics at the end and all the live pictures and that kind of stuff, you know, it goes on, interviews members of the band, kind of giving their comments on the tracks, etc. And you know, there's stories about the recording there. Or yeah, now Merciful Fate, these guys are from Copenhagen. These guys are Danish, and they had the great, yeah, only one of the early kind of, well, I don't want to say thrash because, you know, Merciful Fate would only get lumped up with the Euro thrash movement. They weren't really that thrash metal. Power metal maybe. Not like they could be as fast as fucking places, but also they had the unique sending ability of the legendary King Diamond on vocals. A guy that's got an operatic vocal range. He can get from, you know, down here to, well, he can out-squeal John Anderson. And yeah, it's something that he developed more on his solo albums, because he still does Merciful Fate and he's also got his ongoing solo career as well, of which members of Merciful Fate are in the King Diamond, but also members of Merciful Fate are in a band called Fate, which is Merciful Fate without. It's complicated. You know, if there's a relation status on sort of band Facebook, it will be. It's complicated for these guys. But we'll come back and talk about the Melissa album here. It's a style that King Diamond will develop in his solo career, but the signs of it are on here, where he kind of uses his range and singing in different almost accents and octaves and that, the kind of foretell act, you know, to portray different characters in the songs. You got, and on here, what songs? You got Evil, Curse of the Pharaohs, Into the Coven, Black Funeral, Satan's Fall, the epic Melissa itself, and then also you got bonus tracks. You got Black Masses, which I believe was a B-side in Denmark. You got some Radio 1 Tommy Vance live sessions, and as well as a couple of demo versions of a couple of tracks. And then you got a live, short live set recorded at Eindhoven in Holland in 1983, as well as some bonus features and interviews with the band and a little documentary, etc. I said originally this came out 83, 82, I want to say something, early 80s. This is kind of like, you know, I suppose it's almost like pre-thrash, but you know, it's an album I picked up mid-80s, and I've been a big fan of ever since. Hence the reason when the reissue came, I grabbed the reissue as well because of the bonus material. Not a weak track on it. It's and it's really bizarre. I was in their local Lidl's a couple of months ago, last summer actually, and I was waiting for a taxi home because I had, like, you know, I don't drive and I had bags and bags of shopping. Done a massive shop and it was too heavy to carry and too hot a day to walk. So I called a taxi, and while I was waiting there I got chatting to this young girl. She must have been about 16, 17. And the reason I got chatting to her, she had a Merciful Fate t-shirt on. And I approached her saying, "Oh, Merciful Fate," thinking she didn't know what she was wearing, thinking it was some teeny with a fashion statement. And no, she knew her stuff. We spent about, well, until my taxi was coming, there was me, her boyfriend, and her discussing what a great album this was. So yeah, it can reach beyond the generations. Great album, well worth checking out. Melissa by Merciful Fate. And it leads us on to the last one. First time this lot has shown up in these series of videos. This is Iron Maiden and Fear of the Dark, 1992. There's the front. There's the back with Maiden being all Maiden. And inner sleeve. It's a double album, this one. Yeah, I made the Sphere of the Dark. Now, I'll be honest with you and say I'm not keen on this album. To me, this marks the beginning of the end for the Maiden I loved. Now, I'm not knocking Maiden, and I'm not knocking any Maiden fans, but it's just that, you know, as Maiden went on, I found their stuff less and less interesting. I wasn't a big fan of the Seventh Son album. I did quite like No Prayer for the Dying in places, but it was in places. This one came out, and again, it's in places I like it. It's not. And then, of course, after this, you had the Dickinson leaving. You had. Yeah, Adrian Smith had already gone by this point. You had those 2 albums they did with Blaze Bayley, and I've met Blaze Bayley, he's a nice guy, but just didn't like his work with Maiden. And then after that, I don't know, it's almost as if they've gone Maiden by numbers. It's kind of like you can predict what's going to be on every album. This is the big long epic, this is the cut the fast numbers, etc. And you know, the riffs sound very much the same. You know, Steve Harris still can't turn a lyric to save his life. He's one of my least favourite lyricists in metal. Steve, as I call him, Steve, I've read a book and I'm going to rewrite the lyrics as a poem. Harris, not a style of lyricism to like. Now, some people may like it. Personally, it just leaves me cold. I mean, to me, Adrian Smith was the best lyricist Maiden that Maiden had. But, you know, I don't let him write that much. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good moments on here. There's Be Quick or Be Dead. For Me Into Eternity is not a bad track. Afraid to Shoot Strangers I find's a bit like a wet tea bag. And then Gotta Look Down until Weekend Warrior. Again, another bit of a rocker. And then Fear of the Dark, I know it's the kind of classic that all the fans love and still part of their live set to this day, but I don't know, it just bores me, that track. Like a lot of this album does. It just kind of, you know, to me, a Maiden album, it isn't stuff like Number of the Beast, you know, even kind of, no, I just said it just now. Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, albums like that. You know, Power Slave, they just kind of got hold of you, they kind of grabbed you by the ears and they demanded that you listen. By this time, there's kind of, you know, almost like the originality's going out the band. And it's still, sadly to me, the same right for this day, I'm being honest here. Much as I like the band, and even on I've got a lot of their later albums as well, and like most of them, there's 1 or 2 tracks I like, but most of it's kind of meh. Yeah, maybe I'm just Maidened out. Maybe I've grown up. Maybe me and Maiden have just grown apart. But it's sad, because, you know, I used to really like their earlier stuff. But anyway, if you're into it, more power to your elbow. If you're not into Maiden, I wouldn't start here. I'll go back to, you know, Number of the Beast is still my favourite album, full stop. So, Maiden album, full stop. So, yeah, last one today, Fear of the Dark, Iron Maiden. It's a meh album as far as I'm concerned. But if you disagree with what I'm saying on any of these, that's what the comments are for. Get a debate going. Keep it polite, because, you know, I understand that I may dislike stuff that some of you may like, or vice versa. So, you know, tell me why I should like Iron Maiden after No Prayer for the Dying. Yeah. What is there to listen to after that? Should I check the Blaze Bayley period out again? I've got the album. Should I give them another listen? What do you recommend? Anyway, time has beaten us. Got to go. So, yeah, if you like what you hear, or if you dislike what you hear, comments are down there in YouTube. They're over there on Facebook. Give me some feedback. And if you want to, I upload these every Saturday, so if you want to hear more, there's a subscribe and a notification button, etc. So do your thing, and until next week, peeps, I'm out of here. Loves you all, and bye.